What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some insane battles in the open greatly featuring a slightly unconventional triple shadow team with Bibarel, Golurk and Donphan, which I was actually able to use to gain over 300 elo at the time of recording, starting from the low 2400s and getting just shy of expert rank. Now if I do climb more later on, I may update the title and thumbnail accordingly, so if I claim to have hit expert in the title, it's actually not clickbait, I just haven't hit it quite yet. But anyways, the reason this team is unconventional, if you haven't already worked it out, is because it's triple weak to grass. And let's not kid ourselves, Serperior is one of the most common Pokemon in the meta right now. So how was I actually able to climb with this team? Well, one of the most common teams that I've been facing over and over again over the past few days actually has a Serperior in it, but it's got Talonflame in the lead with Morpeko as the safe swap, and my team absolutely shuts those two Pokemon down. So while Serperior is definitely problematic, I have a pretty big advantage by the time it comes into the field of play. So more often than not, I'm able to deal with it fairly easily. Now there are some insane games featured in today's video that were so close, came down to literally 1 HP in a dream, so I can guarantee you'll be entertained for this one. So with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. Which Pokemon do you think has seen the biggest improvement after the smaller move update that we got this season? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so go into the first battle, leading Shadow Bibarel into Talonflame. So this is going to be the team that I was talking about. They safe swap into Morpeko, and most Morpeko, at least in this team, are not running Seed Bomb, so you do not have to shield here. I'm going to let this go through. Psychic Fangs is going to deal some okayish damage, but it's not going to threaten a shield, and we can make it to back-to-back charge moves up against the Talonflame coming back in. And the reason I actually come in with my Shadow Golurk here is I can threaten a shield with back-to-back Shadow Punches. First one, going to be no shield. You can see a second Shadow Punch will be enough damage to get the KO here, so probably going to grab a shield from the opponent. Now we can come in with Bibarel. We get off 2 rollouts, dealing big damage here. They do make it to a charge move. They go for a fly. Now they're going to swap into Serperior, but we are already at the Hyper Fang. We throw it straight away. Hyper Fang is going to be shielded by the opponent, so I'm actually going to stay in with Bibarel here. Shield up the charge move as the opponent will be throwing a charge move here. They go for an Aerial Ace as they can afford to bait, because Aerial Ace will pretty much put me into farm down range. We go for Hyper Fang there. We swap into Shadow Donphan. We're going to force the opponent to full send a Frenzy Plant right here, and we put them into range where we can actually just go for a full rollout farm down. The opponent tries to make a catch there. I'm not at a charge move anyways, and if I reached a charge move, I would have thrown it, but the rollout gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So GG stop over there into next battle. See a Malamar in the lead, so this is fine with me. I'm going to stay in here. If they go straight for a superpower, they will actually just barely outpace me to the first charge move, but they're not going to throw, so we go for a Surf there. And typically Malamar has a Toxapex in the back and potentially a Diggersby as well, so I'm actually going to let that go, come in with my Golurk, go for the Mudslap farm down, but it's actually a Shadow for Alligator. So of course, compared to a Toxapex, this is definitely a lot worse for us, but we've got a huge energy advantage. I can actually make it to back-to-back Shadow Punches before the opponent gets a full farm down. They're going to use both their shields, but they do come out with a ton of loaded energy. So at this point, Bibarel actually won't be able to be fully farmed down by the Feraligatr, but I'm going to come in with my Shadow Donphan anyways. I'm going to shield the first charge move here as they go for a Hydro Cannon, and the opponent actually comes in with Clodsire. So actually, wasn't quite the team I was expecting it to be, but I'm able to swap, catch the charge move onto my Bibarel. They full send the Earthquake there, and that's going to be game over right now. We've still got a shield. I actually don't think I'm going to need it here, so we can go straight for Trailblaze. Trailblaze actually doesn't get the KO, but it puts them into farm down range. We're boosted. Trailblaze obviously going to be enough damage, hitting for super effective here to take out Shadow for Alligator, and I'm able to take that game. So GG sort of went there into the next battle. We see Shadow Bibarel into a Serperior. So in the lead, this is going to be a lot more tricky for us. However, we definitely do want to see it up against Bibarel, and especially if the opponent's going to throw on alignment, giving us a full rollout in for free. They go straight for Frenzy Plant there. That's great for me that they don't bait. We're also not going to bait. Full send the Hyper Fang, and the opponent actually uses their shield there. And at this point, we're going straight for Hyper Fang number 2. We actually throw on CMP here. So Hyper Fang going to be double shielded by the Serperior. However, this will just be an Aerial Ace. So I'm actually going to no shield this, swap into my Shadow Golurk, and the opponent comes in with a Diggersby, and this is absolutely fine with me. Now, I can afford to no-shield this, however, I'm going to shield here just because I can now overfarm massively. Unfortunately, they do debuff my attack, but I'm hoping that's not going to make a difference as I full send the Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch actually doesn't get the KO, but even better for me, we get the Mudslap farm down, and now they're going to come in with a Quagsire, so this is still really tricky for us. I throw at the last possible second, and then I'm going to swap into my Shadow Donphan. One Aqua Tail will not be enough damage to get the KO, KO. They farm up to back-to-back charge moves though, so very nice play from the opponent. Aquitail does get us fairly low, but they throw the next charge move straight away, and this is now good for me. Aquitail gets the KO there. I'm going to come in with my Goluk. I expect the opponent to swap back into Superior, and they are going to swap into Superior, but I can go straight for Dynamic Punch here. I throw on the CMP tie as well, which is perfect. Dynamic Punch gets the KO there, and now I will be able to outpace them to the Shadow Punch, so the opponent just concedes the match there. So GG top on there into next battle. We see a Magnezone in the lead. Not great for us. We're going to swap into our Shadow Goluk, and we're met with Superior. So again, Superior, very common right now. We full send the Dynamic Punch, but the opponent actually uses their shield there. Honestly, I did not expect that. Of course, if I was expecting it, I would have just baited with a Shadow Punch, and Shadow Punch would have been some nice chip damage there. They wouldn't have been able to overfarm as much as they just did there, which is definitely not ideal for me. But we're going to come back in with Bibarel. Of course, still not a great matchup for me, but we can shield once. Fire off the Hyper Fang, and again, I'm going to be able to swap into my Shadow Donphan and probably get off a Mud Slap here. As we swap out, we get them very low, and they've got a Talonflame in the bag. So honestly, we still have a chance here, but it's going to be very close. We go for Body Slam there. The opponent is going to overfarm, allowing me to reach a second Body Slam. However, Body Slam are going to be grabbing the shield here. I'm hoping that we can put them into range where we can just roll out, farm them down, and we should be 3 away from the surf. Actually, I shield this. They're at back-to-back charge moves there. I probably should have not bothered shielding there, because now, unfortunately, whilst I can come in with the barrel, their switch clock is now up, and unfortunately, they can full send the Wild Charge. Wild Charge easily takes out the barrel, and we do end up losing that game. But GG top there into next battle. We see a Shadow Drifblim in the lead. So great lead for us. They then safe swap into a Diggersby, which is also fine with me. We're going to stay in, fire off the surf here. We throw straight away because it does take 1 turn to swap out. So throwing straight away is actually good timing there. And now we come in with our Shadow Donphan. Of course, Donphan can't really do much up against the Drifblim in the back. So I'm actually going to throw here. I don't want to have to use a shield here because I'm not going to get a shield back up against the Drifblim. But they then come in with Superior. So again, another Superior. But let's see what we can do. Body Slam is going to be no shielded. It doesn't do that much damage. We're now going to come in with the Shadow Goluk as I realize Bibarel is a hard wall to the Drifblim there. We're going to shield up the Frenzy Plant here. I'm going to see the opponent's going to throw on, well, just before we make another charge move. I can actually live this because it's going to be an Aerial Ace. The opponent then makes a very nice catch there, swapping into the Drifblim, but they no shield. They sacrifice the Drifblim. We're able to get the full farm down there, and they come back in with the Superior. Now, they've still got 2 shields. There's no point me throwing a charge move here. I have to commit to a full farm down. The opponent fires off the Frenzy Plant, which was unnecessary, and then we throw here at the last possible second. I realize they're at 1 HP, so they shield, but the charge move still takes them out anyways, because even through a shield, it does 1 damage. They were at 1 HP, so we're able to take them out there, and luckily for me, I'm able to take that game. So GG top there into next battle, and a bit of an awkward lead matchup for us for Shadow Bibarel as we see a Shadow Marowak, because of course, whilst we are a water type, we're hitting for resisted fast move damage with the rollouts, and in their 2 shield scenario, that is a really dominant matchup for that Marowak. But we swap into our Shadow Goluk. We're going to fire off back-to-back Shadow Punches, grab a shield back from the opponent. We come in and we're just barely not able to get that rollout farm down. That is definitely painful for us, but we can shield this up and go for the farm down there, and if they come back in with the Marowak, of course, they are going to shield. However, we do have an energy advantage, so I'm going to overfarm here, throw on the CMP tie. I should be able to live a Bone Club, so after this charge move, I will be swapping out into my Shadow Donphan. The opponent fires off the Bone Club. We're now going to swap into Donphan. They swap at the same time into a Toxapex. And actually, despite the fact that Brine is super effective, because we're resisting the Poison Jab damage, we can just barely hang on there. I'm now going to fire off the Trailblaze. I realize Trailblaze will not be enough damage to get the KO, but it's going to boost up my attack here. We got 2 more Mud Slaps. We come out with another Trailblaze loaded, and that's absolutely perfect for me. We're boosted. Trailblaze gets the KO up against the Marowak, and I'm able to take that game. So GG top there into next battle. We see Shadow Bibarel into a Gastrodon. So again, not really ideal for us. So we're actually going to swap into our Shadow Goluk, and we're met with a Jump Love. And this is very awkward for us. I end up throwing on alignment there, so not great from me. We go for a Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch is going to be no shielded, and they're going to throw before we make it to the next charge move. So at this point, I can't afford to shield this because there's no way I'm flipping this matchup. I could probably even double shield this and still not take that matchup. So we're now going to come in with Shadow Bibarel. I'm going to shield up the first charge move here. The opponent is going to bait with an aerial ace, which is definitely unfortunate for us, but we are full sending the Hyper Fang right now. Hyper Fang is actually going to be shielded, the opponent recognizing we are incredibly weak to jump off, so I'm going to double shield now. They do full send the energy ball this time around, and at this point I think I've put them into surf range anyway, so I will fire off the surf. Surf is resisted, but it does get the KO. They come back in with the Gastrodon, however we are unfortunately behind on energy, and it does take one turn to swap out there, so they can just barely outpace me to the Earth Power, getting the KO there, and there's nothing we can do at this point. I'm not going to bother throwing a charge move, as the opponent can reach another Earth Power. No, never mind, actually just a Body Slam, but it doesn't really matter. I'm not at back-to-back charge moves. I don't even know what the third Pokemon was, but unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's Topo there into the next battle, and not a Serperior this time around, but going to be a Venusaur. So actually, I don't really mind this too much, just because we can deal neutral damage with the Mud Slappers in the back. We're going to show up the Frenzy Plant here, go for a Hyper Fang, and Hyper Fang is going to do big damage, so the opponent is going to no-shield this. I actually don't understand that play at all, but now we can come in with the Shadow Golurk. They throw on very poor timing, meaning I get a full Mud Slap in for free, so despite the fact that I did actually swap out quite late there, I'm still able to get that Mud Slap farm down, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. They are going to wait out their switch clock, come in with a Shadow Zapdos, and this should be game over here for me. Oh, sorry, for the opponent, as we go for a Shadow Punch. I'm now waiting to see if the opponent's going to try and make a catch onto Venusaur. I think that is the play for them. However, I'm just going to continue to overfarm. They swap, they try to make the catch there. I'm now able to reach back-to-back Shadow Punches. The opponent can shield if they want to, but if they're smart, they realize we're at back-to-back, so they just let the first one go through, and I'm able to take out Shadow Zapdos and take that game. So GG's to open there into next battle. We see Azumarill in the lead, so this is definitely where we want to see it for this team. Of course, we're hitting for neutral damage with the Rollers, with the Hyper Fangs. This is a slightly positive matchup for us, at least in the one shield scenario. We go straight for Hyper Fang there. Hyper Fang is going to do just under 50% of their HP. I always shield the first charge move at least, because I know if they go for a play rough and it lands, they can maybe just commit to a full bubble farm down there, which would definitely not be ideal for me. But we go for the Hyper Fang there. Hyper Fang is going to grab a shield back from the opponent, and we can live this play rough. So I'm going to no-shield the next one, fire off the Hyper Fang, and Hyper Fang will be enough damage to get the KO from this range, and the opponent does lose that lead matchup. But they're going to come in with a Toxapex, which is absolutely fine with me. We can come in with the Shadow Golurk here, and I'm actually not going to commit a shield here, just because I don't want to use my final shield. I don't know what's in the back, so we're going to no-shield this. I'm then going to blind swap into my Shadow Donphan, and again, a Serperior in the back. So definitely not ideal for me, and unfortunately, they do throw it on very good timing as well. So I'm going to shield this. The opponent fires off an Aerial Ace bait there, but they can afford to just go for the Aerial Ace there, so it makes sense. We're now going to go for Body Slam number one. We're actually at back-to-back charge moves, and the opponent throws straight away, which is huge for me. Body Slam number two is actually going to put them into Dynamic Punch range, so I, of course, got no shields remaining. Frenzy Plant gets the KO there. We can go for the Dynamic Punch, and Dynamic Punch will get the KO. We are very low, but can we reach a Shadow Punch in time? And yes, because we are actually double resisting the Poison Jab damage, Shadow Punch will be enough damage to get the KO there with 1 HP and a Dream once again, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's top end there into the next battle. We see a Shadow Drapion in the lead. We're going to say swap into our Shadow Golurk, and the opponent actually swaps out at the exact same time into a Diggersby. So this is still fine with me. Gonna no shield. They go for a Scorching Sands there. They do drop my attack, but we've seen already Dynamic Punch, even debuffed, will put them into range where we can just Mud Slap farm them down. They actually use their shield there. That's absolutely fine with me. I feel like there's no point shielding here, so I'm actually going to no shield this. Fire Punch will be getting the KO, but I realize Donphan can deal with the Diggersby and the Drapion in the lead as well, and it's not like the matchup up against Bibarel is that bad up against the Drapion either, so I don't really mind about switch advantage. Instead, we're now going to use a shield here, fire off the Trailblaze. I realize Body Slam would be enough damage to get the KO, but I might as well boost up my attack here, and the opponent comes in with their own Mud Slapper in the form of Shadow Kanto Marowak. We're now going to fire off another Trailblaze. Trailblaze is going to be shielded by the opponent. We swap into our Shadow Bibarel, and I'm going to no shield this as the opponent fires off a charge move. They go for the Bone Club here. We are now going to be able to reach a Hyper Fang before they do even make it to an Aqua Tail. Hyper Fang is going to be no shielded. Oh, well, they've got no shields left anyway, so it makes sense, but they overfarm by the perfect amount here. Brilliant play by the opponent. We can now come in, and they do have back-to-back charge moves, so they fire off the Aqua Tail here. We can go for the Mud Slap farm down, but we didn't give much farm for us because, of course, the opponent overfarmed so much there, and they are able to outpace me to the Bone Club, so very well played by the opponent there, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG so far there. Into next battle, we see a Clodsire in the lead. So this is fine with me. I will probably stay in initially, fire off a Surf, and then I can swap into one of my Mud Slappers. And by the way, I didn't really have a particular Pokemon that was definitely the safe swap, because sometimes I'd swap into Golurk and there'd be like a Feraligatr, for example, in which case obviously Golurk isn't that great because we are taking super effective damage, whereas in this case swapping into the Shadow Donphan and baiting out a Feraligatr, because they threw on poor timing there, I can reach back-to-back charge moves, fire off Body Slam number 2. Body Slam is going to be grabbing the final shield, and at this point we're looking to be in a pretty good position. So I'm actually not going to bother shielding here. The opponent will be able to take us out with the Hydro Cannon, but I can commit to a full farm down, because if they're not running Crunch, which most Feraligatr aren't running, then we can actually tank that. We do resist everything they can possibly throw, and now we can come in, get the full farm down here. They come in with Azumarill, so this is fine with me. Definitely where we want to see it as well. So we go straight for Hyper Fang. Hyper Fang does some okay damage there, and now I'm actually going to swap into my Shadow Golurk, and there is a reason for this. We got off a few Mud Slaps, and Mud Slaps do big damage up against the Azumarill. We force the opponent to swap back into their Clodsire, go straight for the Earthquake, which does get the one-shot, but now we can come in with Bibarel, go straight for a Surf here. Surf will be getting the KO, and as well, I will be able to outpace this Azumarill to the next charge move. I'm going to overfarm here. I wasn't sure if I'd live the next bubble, so we fire off the Hyper Fang. Hyper Fang is enough damage to get the KO there, and I'm able to take that game. So GG top over into the next battle, we see a Wigglytuff in the lead. So we're going to stay in this matchup here, fire off a Surf, and assuming they're probably going to shield, I will then swap into another Pokemon in the back. So we go straight for Surf, grab that shield, we then swap into our Shadow Donphan, and unfortunately met with a Shadow Drifblim. So not really looking too good for us here. We're going to go straight for Trailblaze. Maybe I should have overfarmed more than that and potentially baited like I had a Play Rough or something. But either way, I don't expect to grab a shield. Anyways, they actually throw that Icy Wind fairly early there. So we can now come back in with Shadow Bibarel, and I was hoping to go for a full rollout farm down. You're going to see I'm actually just barely not going to get there, so I do throw a charge move. You could argue that actually instead maybe I should have just shielded once and then gone for the full farm down there, because now unfortunately I've got 2 shields, but I'm just going to take so much damage up against their team as they fire off a Swift and they come in with their own Mud Slapper. So what I'm going to do here is kind of stupid. I go for a Dynamic Punch here, expecting them not to shield this, but it actually doesn't quite get the KO anyways. And unfortunately, even the Mud Slap just barely doesn't get the KO there. It doesn't really make a difference. Again, we do have a shield remaining, but there's no point using it. They would just charm, farm me down, so we do lose that game. But GG so far there, into next battle, another Shadow Kanto Marowak in the lead. This time we're actually choosing to stay in. The opponent's going to throw straight away. They lose CMP here. I actually don't mind grabbing a shield advantage and then just swapping into one of my Pokemon in the back. We should just barely live a Bone Club, so I will be swapping out. And we're actually able to swap and get a 0-turn swap as well. So we get the Mud Slap in as they throw their charge move. The opponent fires off the Bone Club there, fine with me. And again, I could just settle for the Body Slam here, but actually, I might as well boost up my attack, fire off the Trailblaze. Trailblaze going to be no shielded. They now come in with a Talonflame. I don't think I'm going to reach, well, I don't think I'll be able to throw 3 Mud Slaps and throw a charge move. So instead, we go for a boosted Body Slam, and we actually grab the final shield there, which is a little bit surprising to me. But we're going to come in with the Shadow Golurk, and we are going to shield this charge move as the opponent fires off a Fly, and they're now going to actually swap into a Morpeko. We are going to swap and make a catch onto my Shadow Bibarel. That is absolutely clutch for me. They're actually running Seed Bomb there, so very lucky that they aren't, that they weren't on Psychic Fangs there, because now I can come out with back-to-back Shadow Punches. The first one is actually going to do huge damage here. It doesn't quite get the KO, so now, just for the sake of it, I'm going to go for the Dynamic Punch BM. Dynamic Punch, of course, on 1 HP, will be taking out the Talonflame, and I'm able to take that game. So GG so far there, into next battle, we see Morpeko in the lead this time around. So we're going to say swap into our Shadow Golurk, and we're met with a Jump Bluff. So again, not really ideal for us. This time we do at least throw on much better timing. We go for the Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch, not going to do too much damage there, and I can throw a second Shadow Punch. This time this will be on poor timing, but we do got a second charge move, which actually is quite good for us, because now we can probably shield once on our Bibarel and commit to a full rollout farm down. So they go for the Energy Ball there. Energy Ball, of course, is easily going to one-shot us, and again, it's going to do huge damage in this matchup too. So we shield this up. They go for the Energy Ball once again, but we do get that farm down, which is huge for me. I'm then going to swap straight away into my Shadow Donphan, and we're met with a Talonflame. So not really ideal for us. We're going to fire off the Body Slam here. Body Slam is going to be shielded by the opponents. and they're actually going to throw their charge move straight away. So this is fine with me. Bibarel actually does have a Surf already loaded, so I can farm up to back-to-back Surfs here, and I do believe Bibarel wins CMP in this matchup. So if they do shield this, I can fire off the next Surf, but they actually let that go through. Well, I can very easily talk right now. They go for a Psychic Fangs, which is unfortunate because they will just barely reach another charge move. They're at like 2 or 3 HP there. Unfortunately, rollout not being enough damage to get the KO. They can fire off the Aura Wheel there, easily taking out Bibarel, and we do lose that game. But GG so far there. Into the next battle, we see a Clodsire in the lead once again. So once again, going to stay in here. They actually fire off a charge move before they reach the Earthquake. So they're going to go for a Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb does some decent damage there, but I don't need to shield it. We're now going to fire off the Surf. Surf is also going to be no shielded. So I'm going to bank a Surf and then I swap at the same time as the opponent as they come in with a Feraligatr. And this is definitely not ideal for me. I'm going to shield the first charge move just because I will actually be able to reach back-to-back charge moves. At least I hope I will be able to do so. So we're going to grab a shield back from the opponent, but no, actually, never mind. We are outpaced by the Feraligatr, but Hydro Cannon gets the KO there. I can come in with either Pokemon. I think I'm going to come in with the Bibarel here, as I am resisting the damage. They swap back into Clodsire, but I'm able to react in time, fire off the Surf, get the KO there, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. The opponent is going to come in with a Primeape, so we are going to swap into our Shadow Donphan, but we are slightly slow to swap out there, and they're going to go straight for a charge move. They actually just go straight for a Rage Fist. They definitely should have just committed to the close combat if they are running it, because now I can shield this up. I can farm up to back-to-back charge moves here, and the opponent should be throwing their energy straight away. But we're going to go for the Body Slam. Body Slam grabs the shield. They commit to the Karate Chop farm down, but they're not able to get it. Body Slam gets the KO there. We can swap into Bibarel, and because we double resist the Shadow Claw damage, I am just barely able to reach a Surf. Again, literally on 1 HP and a Dream, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG to open there. Into the next battle, we see a Talonflame in the lead. It's a great lead for me. The opponent's going to say swap into a Dugong, and this is also absolutely fine with me. I'm going to fire off the Hyper Fang here just before they reach a potential Icy Wind to debuff me, but they should just be going for Draw Run anyways. Either way, I can live whatever they throw, so I'm going to no-shield this, and they do go for a Draw Run. So actually, I can just stay in, go for the full farm down here. We don't have much HP, but we don't actually need much HP to take out a Talonflame anyways. They come in with a Diggersby, so I'm going to swap out into my Shadow Golurk, and I'm going to shield this charge move because I don't want them to put me into farm down range for that Talonflame. So I shield up the Fire Punch bait there. Doesn't really matter too much. I can go for 3 Mud Slaps, fire off a Shadow Punch, and we've seen this already. Shadow Punch does do respectable damage here. I'm already at Shadow Punch number 2, and if they commit to a full farm down, I will be able to reach a 3rd Shadow Punch up against this Talonflame. So at this point, there's probably no point in them shielding here. We go for Shadow Punch, we get the KO. They come back in with the Diggersby. I'm going to swap out straight away, not allow them to farm me down, and I can afford to no-shield this. The opponent goes for another Fire Punch bait. Fine with me. We can fire off the Trailblaze. I believe Bibarel already has a Surf loaded. Trailblaze is going to be no-shielded as the opponent realizes that, and so we're able to take that game. So, GG to opponent. Into the next battle, we're going to see a Ariados in the lead. So, honestly, I've not seen Ariados in ages. And this Pokemon is a little bit tricky for us. Of course, they can be running Trailblaze. The opponent's actually going to go for a Lunge there, which is not ideal. And then they swap. They make a very nice catch there, catching a Resisted Surf onto their Greninja. So at this point, I'm actually going to choose to stay in here. I can afford to stay in because Night Slash won't be enough damage to get the KO. However, it does a lot more damage than I was expecting it to do. So we're now going to fire off the Hyper Fang. Hyper Fang is going to be shielded by the Greninja. Now we can come in with the Shadow Donphan. Unfortunately, they will just barely reach another charge move. So I'm going to shield this up as they go for the Hydro Cannon there, get that Mud Slap farm down, and let's see. The opponent comes back in with the Ariados. I actually couldn't remember how much energy they had, so I'm actually just going to go straight for a Body Slam there, but they've got a Drifblim in the back, and this is going to be game over. Unfortunately, there were quite a few occasions where I just wasn't able to get a Drifblim out in time, and Bibarel, whilst it is a complete wall to it, is not going to be able to do much when we're at, like, I don't know, like 10 HP here, so Icy Wind gets the KO. They can actually just go for a full Astonish farm down, taking out Bibarel, and we do lose that game. So, GG so there. Into next battle, another Talonflame in the lead. So great to see. The opponent safe swaps into a Wigglytuff, so this is a little bit trickier for us, but we're going to go straight for a Surf here. And then again, assuming to grab a shield, we're now going to swap into our Shadow Donphan. And I could have gone for a Body Slam straight away, but I realized they might actually just let that go through, knowing they would live it. They're now going to go for an Icy Wind, which means unfortunately Body Slam won't quite be enough damage to get the KO here, so maybe could have gone for a Trailblaze instead. But either way, we get the farm down and actually leave with very minimal HP, so just a single Incinerate this Talonflame will be getting. Go for a Body Slam. Body Slam doesn't warrant a shield there, but if they stay in with the Talonflame, of course, I will outpace them to the next charge move, so they swap out into Annihilate, but I'm able to swap out in time here. I can possibly no shield this. I do shield anyways. Actually, to be honest, since it is stabbed there, I probably would have gone down to the counters. But either way, we can farm up 2 back-to-back Shadow Punches. First one grabs the final shield. We now win CMP with the Shadow Golurk, and the opponent has to overfarm in this matchup here, but they will not be able to fully farm down the Shadow Golurk. I can fire off a Shadow Punch here. Shadow Punch should be enough damage to get the KO up against the Talonflame, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to open there into next battle. We see Shadow Bibarel into a Shadow Palkia. So I'm going to stay in this matchup initially. They might just go straight for an Aqua Tail. Nope, they're actually going to just overfarm here. We're going to go straight for Hyper Fang. Hyper Fang is going to be shielded. We swap into our Shadow Donphan, and they don't throw at the best of times. So I might be able to commit to a full mode start farm down here, and we can get that farm down, which is huge. They now come in with a Dugong. I'm going to go straight for the Trailblaze here. Trailblaze is going to be shielded by the opponent, but we boost up our attack. It means we can land a boosted Body Slam. Not going to do too much damage here, but it still does help quite a bit. We now put them into range where a Hyper Fang will definitely get the KO. So I'm going to come in with my Bibarel, and I'm actually going to shield here. I feel pretty confident that Shadow Golurk can beat whatever's in the back. They go for the draw on, and they swap into a Toxapex. And again, we've seen this already. Shadow Golurk, whilst it does take super effective damage from the Brine, can actually live a Brine. Not that comfortably, actually, but we do live it. And I'm going to farm up to a Shadow Punch and a Dynamic Punch. That was very risky. Honestly, maybe could have thrown the energy slightly sooner there. But again, we want to come out with 1 HP and a Dream. Fire off the Dynamic Punch, get the KO there. And I'm able to take that game. Of course, Bibarel was actually just 1 away from the next charge anyway, so I could have gotten away with a Shadow Punch. But either way, GG's to opponent there. Into next battle, we see a Shadow Dragonite in the lead. Now, I'll be honest here. The opponent, after throwing on poor timing, I'm like, oh my god, I can come out with so much loaded energy if I commit to a full farm down. But I wasn't looking at my own HP, and somehow Dragon Breath gets the full farm down there, doing more damage than the rollouts. They also reach a last-second Dragon Claw, so this game is already over. Nothing I can do at that point. I mean, I should have just looked at my own HP there, but honestly, huge misplay, but nothing I could do there in the end. So GG, sit up over there into next battle, and I don't even remember what was in the lead, but we save swap into Shadow Donphan. Now, we're not running Play Rough, but I do actually farm up to a potential Play Rough, and we manage to grab a shield from the opponent. And again, farming up to the potential Play Rough. I actually think maybe I was slightly short this time around, so we don't grab the shield this time, but we do get them fairly low, and if they full send a Brave Bird right off the bat, I think I'll just be able to go for a full rollout farm down. So I'm definitely going to respect the damage here. You see, I'm thinking about it. We shield, it is the Brave Bird, and now we can just go for that full farm down. So they got so much energy there, but it doesn't really matter. We shield once, we get the farm down. They come back in with the Drapion. We can snipe with the Shadow Golurk, and they've got a Feraligatr in the back. And whilst this is technically a bad matchup for us, just 1 Mudslap energy advantage, we're able to take this in the 1 shield scenario. The opponent has to farm up 2 back-to-back charge moves there, so at this point we can fire off Shadow Punch number 2. Shadow Punch gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So GG to opponent there into the final battle of this video, once again leading into a Shadow Drapion. We're going to say swap this time into the Shadow Donphan, and the opponent chooses to stay in this time and fire off an Aqua Tail. So I can live this. I'm going to no shield. The opponent swaps out anyways into a Corsola. We're going to go straight for the Trailblaze there. This is fine. Trailblaze not going to do too much damage. We get off 1 boosted Mudslap, but we are going to double resist the Astonish damage. Power Gem's still going to hit fairly hard up against Shadow Bibarel, but that's absolutely okay with me. I'm going to no shield the first charge move as the opponent does go straight for the Power Gem, and then I'm going to go for 2 extra fast moves. Fire off the Surf here. Surf should probably get the KO from this range, but the opponent actually uses their shield. So at this point, I'm also going to match shields here. The opponent fires off another Power Gem before swapping into Azumarill. So it's actually fine with me. Again, we do want to see it here. Shadow Golurk is going to struggle a little bit up against the Azumarill, but now we can actually stay in and fire off a Hyper Fang on the CMP tie. Perfect for me. Hyper Fang is going to grab that final shield from the opponent, and now we can actually just put all of our faith into our Shadow Golurk. They go for an Ice Beam here. I realize I can outpace them to the Shadow Punch, but actually I don't want to. Instead, we're going to shield this and then commit to a full Mud Slap farm down. We've got so much energy already. They swap back into Shadow Drapion. I'm just going to play it safe here. I don't want to rely on maybe not getting damage registration error on the opponent's end, so I just fire off the charge. We've still got a Shadow Punch loaded anyways, but they come in with a Zoom Reel. We go for the Mud Slap farm down. We can throw the Shadow Punch into Corsola coming back in, and of course Shadow Punch hitting for super effective damage will be enough eventually to take out the Corsola, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.